Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Website Wednesday. And so today we are talking about mistakes that you may be making on your website without even realizing that you are making them. And yesterday I went live over in Shah Wasman's group at the All In Club. It's Matt Thomas's group as well. I don't know if any of you are in there. And there were just a few things. People just said it was really eye-opening, some of the stuff that I was pointing out to them. So I thought I'd come in and share these with you over here as well. So I've got some examples for you, and first thing I want to show you is a website that's literally just going to make your brain hurt. I'm going to share it with you so you can see it, and there's so many things wrong with this website, and so I want to show it to you as a demonstration of what we should definitely not be doing on our website. And one of the things that lots and lots of us do or feel tempted to do is try to cram as much information onto the homepage as possible. And when we do this, sometimes it ends up looking like this. Let me just share it. Hang on, there you go. Whoa, it's like, oh my God, what do you look at? There's so many clashing colors and so many things moving and so much going on that you literally just wouldn't know where to look or where to click, and it makes your brain hurt. So Jackie's laughing. Jackie says lol. It's just one of these horrible, and it's a live website, and I mean, this is something, it's like a throwback to the 90s when we saw lots and lots of these horrendous websites. We don't see so many of them anymore. But let me just come back and let's take that off the screen. Otherwise, it's going to give us all a headache. So one of the things, we need to avoid the tendency to try to put as much information as possible onto the homepage, because we want to, obviously that's an extreme example, but we want to make sure that that's not the kind of reaction that we are getting. So let's go through some of these mistakes, and I'll go through them all like in sequence. But one of the things that I want to say is, even if you don't have a website yet, it's good for you to understand some of the mistakes that people are making, so that if you're planning out your website, you can avoid these. And if you already have a website, then these are the kind of things that you can go and check out your website with like fresh eyes and just make sure that some of these mistakes aren't ones that you are making. So when we first set out on our website journey, it feels exciting and we're looking forward to pulling together some visuals and some colors and choosing fonts and all that kind of stuff. And because of that, often we miss the actual planning stage. So we can have a really, really gorgeous website that doesn't bring us any clients or any leads. And so we want to make sure that we get a really good balance between aesthetics, what's working visually, and also what has been planned and what is strategic. And we all want a really, really beautiful website, but I can tell you now that I've seen some websites that are really successful that have absolutely no design input into them whatsoever. In fact, they're downright ugly. And the reason why they work, or they have still worked, is because they get some of the other key success factors right. I'm not suggesting any of you go and build ugly websites, because nobody wants that. Like, website shame is a real thing. We want to make sure that we're really proud of the websites that we build, and we're proud to send traffic to it. So some of the research from HubSpot, if you don't know HubSpot, they're a really prominent marketing body within the online marketing space. And they did some research, and actually it was a long time ago, but what they found was that 76% of people said that the most important thing about website was finding the information that they were looking for. And so what does this mean for you? It means that if you have a beautiful website, but it's hard to navigate, it could be that you're alienating that 76% of people. And it means that actually you should be obsessing about the usability of your website. You should be making it really, really easy for people to find the information that you're putting out there for them. And you should actually plan the actions that you want people to take so that they can find that information more easily. You can only do all of those things if you have real clarity around your offering and your audience, the people that you're actually speaking to, your community, your people who are likely to become prospective clients. So that's the first mistake, is actually just making sure, or not paying attention to how easy it is for people to find the information on your site. The second mistake, which is really common, is not making that emotional connection with people when they arrive on the site. So often this is because you don't have a good idea of the in-depth struggles that your audience is having, or your potential clients. So when a visitor comes to your website, they're looking for answers. They want to make sure that you can really help them. And so they want to know where they've landed and is it the right place for them to find the answers that they're looking for? What can they do here? And why is here the best place for them to be? Why is your offering unique or different from something that they could get from somewhere else? And it all starts with them understanding that they're in the right place and that you can help them, that you have a unique solution that's going to take them from this kind of pain point that they're feeling, this suffering or this problem that they have got at this moment in time, and how are you going to take them from that to actually where they need to be so that you create a solution for them. And so if you start to understand people, you can make that really definite connection. And let me just come back to, okay, close your eyes for a second, because this is this like horrendous screen share that I'm going to show you again. But once you're on there, I can actually move you across onto a different site. So some of you will have seen me use this example before, because I think this is a really, really nice looking site. But there's no emotional connection when people land there. So she says top dating coach for men and women. And she does have a little bit more of an emotional connection in this strap line here, but some of this should be what is up at the top, because people don't go to bed at night thinking, I wish I could just find a top dating coach. They actually go to bed at night thinking, I wish that I actually enjoyed dating. I wish it was an enjoyable experience. Or I wish I could just find somebody to love me for who I am. Or why do my relationships never last? Why do I always find the like really daggy people to date with? So if she takes those voices in people's heads and puts them into her headline, instantly there's an emotional connection, because it's like she is articulating what people are feeling. So if she had up here something like, I can make dating fun for you again, or let's find you a love and a lasting relationship that isn't going to fail on the second date, then at that point she's actually got inside their heads, and when someone visits the site, they're thinking, oh my gosh, she gets it. She understands what I'm feeling and how difficult this is. And so that's what we are often missing, is that connection point. So we need to make sure that we are providing that. And if we're not providing it, the reason that we're probably not providing it is because we don't understand how to make that emotional connection, but possibly we don't understand those voices that are happening in people's heads. We haven't taken enough time to actually understand the audience that is arriving on our website. So that's the second mistake, the lack of emotional connection. The third one is visual appeal. So if we go back to the beginning, go to that Lings cars where the visual appeal was like so jarring, it's like horrendous. And yet I did tell you that some ugly websites can be successful. They are the minority, and you want to make sure that your website is visually appealing, because we do want to be proud of when we send people to our website. But more importantly, first impressions matter, and first impressions last. You only have one shot at making a good first impression. And if you do that, and if you do it well, then it makes the rest of the work of your website so much easier, because you've already established some kind of credibility. So Google did some heavy lifting on this for us in terms of visual appeal, and they did a report and determined that low visual complexity, that means like the simplistic websites, the ones with lots of white space, the ones that look really clean and fresh, are actually the ones that have more visual appeal than ones that have too much going on and that are too busy, but also the ones that are prototypical. And what I mean by prototypical is that they look familiar. There's some feeling of familiarity as you move through the site. So they know instantly, even if they haven't been on the site, they know where to look for things. So they know that the logo is going to be up in the top left of the website, or they know that the homepage, if they click on the homepage link, it's going to take them back to the homepage. Those are the kind of familiarities. And when we create something with a familiar structure, it means that people are more likely to hang around because they can find their way about more easily. And so that's what we mean by prototypical. It's like if you have an e-commerce site, people expect to find categories. So if you're looking for t-shirts or accessories or jeans or jogging bottoms, they expect to be able to actually click on those and be presented with a whole load of those kind of options that they're looking for. So you need to make sure that we can be creative with our websites, but we don't want to stray too far from the norm in terms of the structure. Find other ways to express your creativity and your uniqueness don't do it through the structure of your website. And I've got an example that I want to show you on this as well, because it's really important that you see what I mean by this, because and I'm not expecting any of you to actually do this, but let me just come over to this website. So this is a website that probably cost a lot of money to build, and it actually is quite visually appealing, but there's no navigational links. So if I arrive on the site and there's something in particular that I want to find, what I have to do is I have to hover over all of these flashing things to actually see if I can find the information. So if I'm looking for how to contact them, how would I possibly know that this is where their address is? And the information actually in these bubbles is quite difficult to read. Like, this is hard to read. This is like, if I'm looking for the phone number, it's like, where would I go? Okay, I'm finding it here. So I would have had to have been here on the site previously in order to have hovered over all these. Now, if you're in a rush, this is the most infuriating situation. It's like, let's just say I'm lost and I go to their website. I need to call them to find my way to I'm running 5 minutes late for a meeting. I go to their website to find out their phone number, and I end up here, and it's making me hover over all of this stuff to just find the phone number. And that is a really, really poor user experience. And it's the kind of thing that's going to make sure that people don't come back. I mean, can you imagine? So this is like an investment company. If someone arrives running late for an investment meeting, they're going to get there, they're going to be flustered and in a bad mood because they just couldn't even find the phone number on your website. It's like the basics like that are really important for us to just make it really easy for people to find this kind of information. So that's the kind of visual appeal and that idea of the prototypical. So even like that one where there's high visual appeal, it looks really nice. It needs to be usable. It needs to be easy for people to find their way around. The fourth mistake that people make is that they don't understand visual hierarchy on a website. And so what then happens is that everything kind of blends in together, and you don't give anything prominence or more importance over other areas, because there are things that are going to be more important than others. So let me just show you a slide that I've got from my Plan Your Profitable Website mini course. And some of you have actually done this before. Jackie, you've been on this, so you might recognize some of this. So opening up Canva, it's got my Canva slides in here. So if I was to show you these circles, first of all, my guess is that you would, without even knowing anything about these circles, that you would easily be able to rank them. And that's where visual hierarchy comes in. And the reason for that is, there's an old saying that squeaky wheels get the grease, and the prominent visuals on your website are going to be the ones that get the attention. And visual hierarchy is one of the most important principles behind your actual web design. It's the order in which the human eye perceives what it sees. And so let me just I'm going to show you the next slide, because there's certain parts of your website are more important than others. So forms, calls to actions, benefit statements, those kind of things, they're the ones that you want to get more attention than the less important parts. So if I show you this in relation to how this might work with strap lines, headlines, any kind of text on your website, this is what you will read first. And this is going to be the headline on your website. And then you'll read this next. So this would be like the subheadline. This might be the main content. And then your eye would go back up to this text up at the top. And so this might be your navigational links, for example. So when you start to understand this, it means that you can start guiding people's eyes to the areas that you want them to be led to. So you're signposting people to the most important information on your website. And hopefully you can see how useful that can become in terms of building out a site that becomes really, really useful for people to find the information they're looking for, and also for you to signpost them to the next steps. So let's say if your website has got several items on it and all of them are equally important, what do you actually want the user to click on? And you need to make sure that the important links are the ones that are the most prominent. So let me show you this on an actual website. So I came across this website. I've got no affiliation with this, but this guy's made a mistake that's actually quite common, that he's really given a lot of prominence to the name of his website and his logo. And so this looks like it's the most important thing on the website. And then underneath these links, they're quite insipid and they blend in with the background color, so it's quite difficult to see them. So is that, like, what should we be clicking on? He's done okay with this headline here, so it stands out. The picture behind it is maybe a little bit too busy, but there's nothing that's saying to me, okay, click this. So he does have some calls to action. So here he's got a call to action. So contact us to schedule a call, which is great. He's also got download our brochure and look at our past projects. These all have equal weight in terms of the hierarchy. None of them look as though they are more important than the other ones. And also they blend in with the other colors. So they are the same color as the logo. So there's a lot of that color on there. So nothing's like popping off the page to say, click me, which is what we really, really want when we want people to actually take the next step. In fact, the main things that are shouting off the page and jumping off the page, if I click on accept here, are these here, these social media links, and I'm going to come to those in a moment. But out of all the things on this page, if I was to scroll all the way to the bottom, these would be the most clickable, and that's a huge mistake. There's a huge error there. If I show you a website that that I put live last month, this is from one of my clients. This is how I want to show you how we can use visual hierarchy to our advantage. So this is a website for a lady called Brigitte who runs luxury retreats in Portugal. And so the main prominent thing that is catching our eye is the visual. So the image is like top of the hierarchy. And the reason that we've done that is because we want to transport people to this amazingly beautiful place. We want that to be the first thing that they see. And so there's this, it instantly creates some desire. And you can do that with your hero header as well, with your hero image. Even if you don't have something that's as appealing as a location, it can be an image of you, or if you are product based, it can be an image of your product. You know, if you go to like a glasses website, you'll probably see a picture of somebody wearing the glasses. Because people can be, that creates really real appeal as well. So the first thing is that we see is the image. The next thing is the headline. So this is where our eyes are naturally drawn next. And then the subheadline, and then we're drawn to these calls to action. And this is a primary call to action for them to actually discover more information about the retreat. And then this is a secondary call to action for them to go and watch a masterclass. So once our eyes have gone here, they're going to head back up to the top to this other visual, which is the logo, and then across to these navigational links so that they can go ahead and explore more on the site. So that's when we start to understand how the eyes move around the website, it's going to help us lay out the website in a way that becomes more useful to the visitor and more useful for us to be guiding people. So coming back to StreamYard, let me just come back here. Let me just, that was the fourth error that people often make. It's just not understanding that visual hierarchy. The fifth mistake that people make is actually keeping attention on your website. So it's really easy to get traffic to your website, and people may like contest that and say, well, actually I really struggle with that. But you can get good at SEO, you can buy paid traffic, you can show up on social media, all of these things in order to drive traffic to your website. But what you want to avoid is people actually bouncing off your website. So in order to keep them there and keep them exploring through the information on your site, you need to make sure that you are avoiding some of the like main errors. And the massive turnoffs that you see on a website are big walls of text, like edge-to-edge content of paragraphs and paragraphs of text. It's just like so horrible to see that on a website, and you should avoid that at all costs. If you've got a lot of content that you have to include it in columns, or break it up with images, break it up with subheadlines, whatever you need to do, just avoid big blocks of text, because you've probably spent a lot of time writing it, but nobody's going to read it. I mean, literally no one will read big blocks of text on your website. Avoid any kind of jargon. Any kind of jargon-centric content is just a massive turn-off. And avoid pointless content, which is things like, welcome to my website. It's meaningless. It doesn't resonate with anybody. There's no emotional connection there. It's like, what does this mean? Why are you even welcoming me to your website? You didn't bring me in here. I came of my own free accord. So avoid things like just meaningless text. And what you would put in on that instead of welcome to my website, tell them what you can do for them, get them excited about why they've arrived on the website and what they're going to find. So, and for those of you who've been on my courses, you will know that we talk about the benefit statement, things like who you help, what you help them with, and what the outcome is going to be from working with you. So make sure that all of the content on your website packs a punch, and you're not using anything fluffy like welcome to my website. It's pointless. And always step into the shoes of your visitors and think, what's in it for me? So what's in it for the people who are arriving there? And make sure that all of your content actually speaks to those desires for them to want to find something for themselves, because inherently we are all really selfish when we're browsing the internet, because we're looking for solutions. We don't care about the people who wrote them. We actually just want to know what they can do for us and how they're going to make our life easier. And then going back to those social media icons on that engineering website, they are hugely clickable, because they're like little candy pieces in a store that you just want to click on them. And lots of people have social media icons in their headline, and that's also a huge mistake. Let me go back. I'm going to show you a website that is doing this, and the first thing that I would do would be to remove these. So Dr. Helen Curran, I'm so sorry, I don't know who you are, but I just stumbled across her website. And when our eyes move across the website, they move from left to right and then down in a Z shape. So they're moving from the name that she's got up here, which would often be a logo, glancing across here. And then this area here, before we leave this corner, is hugely clickable. So we want to have a really strong call to action here in this corner. And often that would be the contact page or the contact button, or some people have a schedule a call button here. But she's got social media links, and lots of people do this. So what she's doing is basically she's saying, welcome to my website, off you go, head over and look at all of the reels on Instagram and don't bother coming back. So you're really inviting people to bounce off your website, and that's bad in so many ways. It's bad. It's a poor user experience, because people have arrived there, you've worked really hard to get people onto the site, and as soon as they arrive, they leave because you've given them something more enticing and fun to click on. So they haven't read the information, so they're leaving without any of the answers that they were looking for in the first place. Google sees people bouncing and thinks that it's rubbish content on your website because someone hasn't hung around long enough to read anything on your site. So they start sending you less traffic and they start de-ranking you. And so all of this is like really, really bad news for you. So take your social media links out of your header. You do want them on your website, but just put them in your footer. So down here is absolutely fine, but don't make them too clickable. Make sure that people can find them if they want them, but don't make them so enticing and pop off the page that people are going to be more likely to click on those than to click through onto any of these other options that you're giving them. So social media icons, remove them, take them out of your header. And finally, the last, number 7 mistake that I see people making is not having a primary call to action on each page. So you want to make sure that you have thought this through, that you know exactly where you want to take people from each page. Often that will be to a lead magnet or to book a call, but you need to know what that is and make sure that that's the prominent call to action. And also, don't have blah buttons. Like, boring buttons don't make people want to click on them. So give them some pizzazz, snazz them up a little bit, and have a really active request on it. So instead of find out more, have something like get your instant download now, or something that's going to sound exciting and make us want to take action on it. And if I show you, let me just pull over onto this. This is not a boring button. This is a call to action in terms of somebody signing up. And please, this is something else I want you to avoid, is just don't just ask people to sign up. Don't just plonk a sign up form on your website and expect people to actually sign up for stuff. You have to give them something in return. There has to be some give and take with this. If you just have an opportunity for somebody to sign up for your list and get sent weekly or monthly newsletters or whatever it is, nobody wants that. Our inboxes are overflowing as it is. We don't want just more stuff arriving there. So make sure that when you are creating your call to action buttons, or when you are creating your opt-in forms, that they're exciting and compelling. Okay, so that's me off my soapbox with 7 mistakes. Let me just rattle through them quickly, and then I'm going to come over to those questions. So if you've got questions, pop them into the chat now. So the first thing is to make sure that you are actually planning out your content, that you're making sure that you're planning your content so it's easy for people to find it when they arrive on the site. The second thing is make sure that you have an emotional connection, that you really start to understand your clients and get some clarity around the messaging that they're expecting or wanting to find. The third thing is start to understand how your first impressions matter, and make sure that you are not getting too creative in terms of that prototypical structure that I showed you. So don't stray too far from that. The fourth thing is understanding the visual hierarchy. Don't make everything just blend in together like on that engineering site that I showed you. The fifth thing is to preserve attention. So make sure that you're avoiding those big walls of text, that you're avoiding that like really boring, pointless, welcome to my website kind of stuff. Hang on, that was 5. 6 was take the social media links out of your header. If that's all you do from today, I would love that. I would love for it to be that. And also make your social media, even if they're in your footer, don't make them too appealing to click on. If people are looking to follow you on social media, that's great. Let them go ahead and find them and click on them. Don't make them just like zing and pop off the page so that they have more importance than anything else. And the seventh thing is get rid of your boring buttons, make them exciting, make your opt-ins really compelling, make people want to hang around and sign up and explore and click on your buttons and go places on your site. Okay, so let's see. Here's a question we've got. Do you think on your homepage a picture of yourself is important if you are your business, i.e. a health coach? Absolutely, 100%. So as a health coach, I'm sorry, I can't see who's asking this question because it just comes up as Facebook user. As a health coach, you are your brand, and people actually are going to be connecting with you on a one-to-one, whether it's in a group or on a one-to-one basis or over video or in person, however it is, it's going to be you that they're buying into. So 100%. And I would say that for any kind of coach in any capacity, coaches, mentors, consultants, all those kind of things, it's really important for you to have a picture of you on there. And that's just as compelling as that beautiful seascape that I showed you in Portugal, because that seascape is not relevant to you as a health coach as such. The other thing that you could have is like happy lifestyle pictures of you being healthy. And I would say don't fall for the cheesy stock imagery. In fact, I didn't mention cheesy stock imagery, but that should have been on the list. Steer clear of that, like the happy, smiling, fake people who are just looking really healthy and loving life. Definitely, if you've got imagery like that of you in a kind of lifestyle situation, that's amazing. But yes, 100% images of you are great on your website. Avoid jargon, even when I'm in a specialist niche which uses that jargon. Gina, okay, so that Gina Holmes, I can't see your second name, but it might be Gina. So in which case, yes, this is a good question. So what we want to be doing is reflecting the language that our audience is using. And so if it's jargon free, so if people are talking to me about websites, I don't talk to them about JavaScript or cascading style sheets, even though that's probably some of the stuff that I might teach them. I talk to them about how to make things look better and how we're going to style things, because that's the kind of language that they're using. So we want to make sure that even in a really jargon heavy environment, if it's not the language that our clients are using or our potential clients are using, we're avoiding it. However, if you are, let's say you are a doctor and your audience is other doctors and you're wanting to create this community of doctors, then in which case go for it with the jargon, absolutely, because you'll be creating some kind of connection with them in there, because it's almost like the secret language. So my husband used to work in the military, and literally when I married into that environment, it was like they were talking in double Dutch. I could listen to an entire conversation and not understand anything that they'd said, because they use acronyms all the time. Like every third word is an acronym, and it was all completely alien to me. And it was just like I would literally just switch off. And so our our audience is doing that if they're not understanding the acronyms or the jargon that we're using. If they're in that world as well, then by all means go for it. There was an example that I used once, and someone said it really resonated with them, and that was years and years ago. So when our second child was a baby, I was kind of struck down with this nerve condition in my face, and I had no idea what it was. All I knew was that when it struck, like for days, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't speak. I mean, literally couldn't even speak at all. That was all I knew. And so if I had spoken to a doctor who had said to me, okay, I'm a specialist in, I've forgotten what the procedure is now that gets rid of that condition, but it's some kind of neuroskull operation. So if he'd said, I'm a specialist in this neuroskull operation and I know I can help you, then I'd be like, okay. If someone else had said to me, I know what it's like to not actually be able to speak to your children or read them a bedtime story at night. And I know what it feels like when you're hungry and you can't eat because it's so painful. And I can help you get rid of that pain. Which one of those people would I have gone with? Would I have gone with the one who said you've got trigeminal neuralgia and you need neural whatever surgery? Or would I have gone with the one who was probably going to give me exactly the same diagnosis and treatment, but who was speaking in my language? And that's the way that we have to think about it. We're not doctors or surgeons or whatever, but we relate to that kind of example because we just want things to be spelt out and laid out in terms that we understand. So hopefully that helps. Janet, you are so welcome. Jackie says, how do you make the opt-in CTA more appealing if in fact you are offering a newsletter? Then make the newsletter sound amazing. I would encourage you to not just offer a newsletter. I would encourage you to offer a freebie, and when they get the freebie, you let them know that they're going to be receiving your weekly newsletter or monthly newsletter, whatever it is. But give them something up front as an incentive to sign up and kind of sell them on that. If it is just a newsletter, then make sure the newsletter is something that isn't just called the newsletter. It's like, let's say you are a copywriter and you're going to sell them into a newsletter. I'm thinking off the top of my head, my brain is racing right now as to what could be amazing, but it could be something about get 10 new copy prompts every week into your inbox, which is what your newsletter was going to be anyway, but it's just that you're not calling it newsletter. You're telling them they're going to get something every week. So you can work it that way. A newsletter can work as long as you sell it correctly. Someone says yes. I don't know what that was for, but I'm guessing that's all good. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you so much for being here. And I will be back for Website Wednesday next week. For those of you, for any of you who are looking to get your website created and up and running fast, look out in your inbox tomorrow because I've got an email going out which is telling you about a whole new course that I'm creating, and it is starting at the end of next week. And it's because it's my 20th year anniversary on Friday next week. And so this is like, I wanted to create something that's like a landmark thing. And so I've been working with online entrepreneurs for 20 years now. It's just like blows my mind. And so I just couldn't think of a better way to kind of celebrate that than helping even more people get online with their website fast. And it's going to be giving you daily prompts and templates and swipe files to make sure that it's as quick and as simple and as straightforward and as plug and play as possible. So if that might be useful to you, then watch out in your inbox tomorrow where all the details will be landing for that. Thank you so much for being here. And oh, hang on, sorry, there's more. I didn't scroll down far enough. Karen says, thank you, always helpful. And wow, you can pack a lot of information. Okay, I know I speak fast, right? Sorry. Jackie, you're so welcome. Miriam, you are welcome. Jackie, thank you. Miriam, thank you. All right. Fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. See you next week. Take care. Bye for now.